Greetings, Internet. It's Monica, and coming at you in the midst of a national emergency. Yeah, this is a weird time, I feel like, to be filming a video, and I feel like to be talking about anything, but I think that it's really important to maintain some form of normalcy in everyday life, and my hope with the platform that I have is to just be able to offer some kind of escape. I think for me, that's a lot of what I'm looking for when I'm on YouTube is, I feel like I'm constantly in these anxiety spirals, and I'm always just looking for an outlet to pull me out of that for a little bit. So I'm hoping that my content, whether on YouTube or Instagram, can be that for some of you guys. With that in mind, my mind has been a lot on coronavirus and everything going on in the world, and I feel like for the everyday person there isn't a ton that we can all do to fix things. We can't research diseases, but we can find little ways of being there for each other, and one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about has been the book community, and especially the writing community, and how with the amount of cancellations and just the news cycle right now, a lot of books that are being published this spring are I think being forgotten. In this video, I'm going to be sharing, it was going to be 5 books, but I couldn't stop myself. I made it 6. So 6 books that I'm really looking forward to this spring that I just, want to keep on people's radar if you're in the market for a new book to read over the next few weeks or coming months. These are the ones I think you should keep in mind. I was really inspired to make this video in the first place because claribel Ortega, who is a debut author this spring, created a hashtag and online event called Spring Reading 2020, and basically the point is to offer a place for the book community on Twitter or wherever to celebrate these spring releases with all of the events that are being canceled. There's so many people who are losing out because of that, whether that be all the artists who were going to be attending those events and selling art, or authors who were going to be speaking on panels and getting their books in front of more readers, to the people who put on those events, showrunners who are now lacking work for potentially months, and so I've been trying to just think of ways that I can support in whatever small way I can, and I think this is one of the ways. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the books that maybe you might want to have on your radar during our international really quarantine. Not to make light of the situation by any means, but that's the reality that we're in right now. I do also want to give a shout out to an online event that's happening called Everywhere Fest. I think this was started by Ellen O, who is a YA author, and it's basically in response to all of the many festivals that are being canceled right now, trying to offer a digital place where people can still celebrate and talk about books. I haven't really followed much about it, but I saw that on my radar this morning, and I just wanted to share it with you guys in case that was of interest. I'll put information about that and also to the spring reading event in the description box below so you guys can find more information. And please, if you have any book suggestions that are coming out in the next couple of months that you think should be on people's radar, or if there are artists that you know who are going to different conventions who no longer are able to, please feel free to include their info in your comments so that other people can find them. I'm going to be using indie bookseller links in the description box below. Obviously, you have to make the financial choice that works best for you, but if you're able to, I always highly recommend looking elsewhere than Amazon, especially right now. Your local indie booksellers, they're really going to be lacking in foot traffic, and so if you can order it from your indie, get the ebook from your indie, I would definitely recommend checking them out. So yeah, that's just my sort of recommendation. So I have to start off with Claribel's book because she is who inspired me to make this video in the first place. Her book is Ghost Squad, and it comes out on April 7th. This book has been on my radar for a while because I follow Claribel on Twitter, and I love middle grade, and this one just sounds so cute and fun, and I feel like right now I just really want to fall into like a fun, spooky middle grade story. This book has been pitched as like Coco meets Stranger Things, and with Dominican folklore. It basically follows two best friends who accidentally release these like evil spirits, and they have to try and contain those spirits. They end up working with this like grandmother who helps them, and they have a chubby cat named Chunk who just sounds adorable and looks adorable in all the art that I've seen. And this one just sounds really fun, and I love a good ghost story. It's been compared a little bit to like Goosebumps, and yeah, I'm hyped for this one. It just sounds like a total blast, and definitely the kind of story that I am for sure in the market for right now. So yeah, I'm really hyped for that one to come out this spring. Next is a book that I've already read. I think it's the only one on this list that I've already read so far, and it is If I Had Your Face by Frances Ha. This book it's the only adult literary book that I have on my list too, so if you have other recommendations in that world, please leave them down below. But I adored this book. It's really short. It is a little bit darker. It's set in Korea. It follows 5 women who are living in an apartment building in Seoul, set in modern day Seoul, and it basically explores their relationships and just their everyday lives, and it really looks at the very strict social classes within Korea and beauty standards. I have kind of been comparing it to if you took Hello My 20s, if you watch Korean dramas, and mixed it with Parasite. This is that book. It's really, really good, super interesting. I loved it, honestly, even just for like the slice of life element of getting to see what these women's lives were like. But I think even though there is a lot of like bleakness throughout the book, it doesn't lack in hope, and that's what I really appreciated about it. I was worried that it was just going to be sort of like bleak the whole way through, but I would say no, like you really get to love and root for these women, and I really like that it isn't just like this, everything sucks kind of story. There is some like hope to it, and I think just like the stories of the women and their relationships together really like drove me as a reader to love it. So I highly recommend this one. It comes out close to the end. It comes out April 21st, and it's definitely one to pick up if you're looking for a good literary style novel. The next book on my list is Tigers Not Daughters by Samantha Mabry, and this follows the Torres sisters who are mourning the loss of their oldest sister, and they feel like she's haunting them basically everywhere they go, and then they start to actually feel like she actually really is haunting them. And so this one sounds like it is, that there's a lot of magic to it in this very realistic story about grief. It sounds so full of heart. It's gotten such amazing rave reviews. I've seen it on a lot of lists of like anticipated books for this spring and this year in general. It just sounds absolutely beautiful. I always love stories about grief that explore grief and what it's like to lose someone who you're so close to and who means so much to you. So I'm really excited for this one. And Tigers Not Daughters comes out March 24th. The next book on my list, I'm realizing these are not in chronological order of when they come out. Sorry about that. But the next one comes out on March 17th, and it's All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban. This one I'm really intrigued for because it basically is an escape room novel. It's been compared to like Agatha Christie, like a YA Agatha Christie. It follows a group of high school students who are sort of like, the stereotypical stereotypes of high schoolers, so sort of breakfast clubby, and they all get invited to what they think is a scholarship dinner, but it ends up being a trap, and they all get locked into this room with a bomb, and they have to work together to try to figure out how to escape, who the heck put them in this room and why. I love escape rooms so much. I suck at them. Like, I am the worst, but I love them. So I'm really excited for this one because it sounds super fun, and I'm hoping that it is kind of like being in, I don't know, I hope it like can kind of help me relive the feeling of being in an escape room without having to do one, because they're expensive, or at least where I am, they're expensive, and I love them. So I'm excited to pick this one up. On April 21st, The Silence of Bones comes out, and this one I'm really hyped for it. This might have been on my most anticipated of 2020 list, but it's set in 1800s in Korea, so it was like the Joseon era of Korea, and it follows the 16-year-old girl who has been indentured to an investigator, and he has been tasked with having to uncover the mystery surrounding a noblewoman's murder, and it seems to be like very politically charged. I think he ends up dying, and she has to kind of take up the case on her own. So I'm really intrigued for this one because of the setting, and two because it's a mystery set in Korea, and I've never read a YA mystery novel set in Korea, so that alone really excited for. And then lastly, we have The Witches of Ash and Ruin. This one comes out March 3rd. It follows 16-year-old Diana Walsh, who is struggling with her OCD and also with the fact that she has just been outed as bi in her very conservative Irish town, when all she really wants to focus on is her ascension to become a full witch. But then a wrench is thrown into that plan when a new coven comes into town and they supposedly practice dark magic. So then Dana has to and then there's so much that happens, and then another witch is murdered apparently in that town, and so Dana ends up having to work with the granddaughter of this sort of warring coven, and everything ensues from there. It sounds really mysterious. I love witches. I'm super interested in the setting of it being set in Ireland. And yeah, it just sounds really fascinating, and I'm really excited to have it on my radar. I'd love, again, to hear from you guys about the books that you're really excited for that are coming out this spring. And just, how are you feeling? Let's chat. I'm very anxious, so we could be anxious together. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and sending you all of my love. Bye.